Hello and welcome to the Star Trek Discovery, Episode 14, The War Without, The War Within, recap and reactions. So I'm back with Jacob.
Hello.
And so Jacob, what do you think of this week's episode?
It was interesting, to say the least. I will say one thing. This episode definitely had quite a few quotable lines.
Do you want to save those individual scenes, or do you want to drop?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, one of my favourites was the bomb that Stamens dropped on Tyler in one of them.
Oh yeah.
It was like, oh, maybe you are still human. Do you know?
Yes.
What was it? No, I wrote it down. Yeah, maybe you're still human after all. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it's been a while since someone's been properly burnt.
Yeah, like there was a few of them in this episode, and like Takuvma was an ignorant fool, and just conquer us or we will never relent.
Yeah, that sounds like that's a pretty good line.
Sarek being all like, well, you are human, as is your mother, do you know?
Well, yeah, that is quite true. I mean, for me personally, I thought it was an okay episode, but unfortunately, due to the Terran Empire arc, it's like someone feels like it's if it was like beginning of like a second season, perhaps that'd be a bit better because I feel as if we've done the whole Terran thing, back to the Klingon War. It's like, oh, well, that wasn't really the strong point of this show.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be strong, but I still feel like there's going to I find it weird that they've not even considered timey-wimey shenanigans.
That's why I was thinking, if it was going to be some sort of weird Buck Rogers thing where they had to jump to it, and they were kept on just about missing either their universe or their time. They're just slightly off every single time, and that'd be like a pretty interesting thing. But I suppose it's quite difficult for consistency of the universe if they were to do that.
Consistency of the universe. I think if Discovery shows one thing, it doesn't care about consistency of the universe.
Well, okay, of its own universe rather than anything else.
Discovery's universe is not the Starfleet universe. I'll tell you that much.
I would say the Emperor turned out to be less of a loose end than expected, because I wasn't exactly sure how they were going to use her.
I have mixed feelings, shall we say, on this whole Emperor thing.
Yes, well, I can understand that, because obviously it does muddle up the overall timeline a bit.
Yeah, quite a lot, and like this is. There are so many things that I'll get to, when we get to the scenes and stuff. But there are just so many things like I don't quite get about why they've decided to go with it. For the
next part of the Klingon War.
Yeah,
because I don't know how long the Klingon War is actually meant to be. Because
isn't this like meant to be like one of the penultimate episodes?
Yeah, it is the penultimate episode, because next week's the finale.
Yeah, like. Like you said, I feel like they could have had that as the end, the last episode as the end of the season, and had this be the start of the next season, because it doesn't feel like they've got enough time to do what they need to do in one episode.
No, I mean, I don't think it's an extended episode.
It feels like they're setting up an entirely new arc. Like, I don't feel like there's going to be enough payoff in just one episode. Yeah,
that does seem like it, because in other shows, I mean, I quite like in Game of Thrones, where at the end of the season you have the penultimate episode is essentially the finale, and the actual finale is almost setting up the next season.
Yeah, I can sort of get that.
But I don't know how. To be honest, it depends what happens with next week, I guess.
Yeah.
How they resolve, or most likely don't resolve it.
Yeah, how they handle it all is definitely going to be a really big thing.
Yeah. So I think we're going to go into the recap now.
Yeah.
So a nice little scene, just to kick it off, was they were changing the exterior of the ship, changing it back to the USS Discovery, away from the ISS. It was nice they did that. Do you know the people outside the ship? Are they actually those drones, or the actual people changing them?
Pardon me, sorry. I think they're those are the drone type things. You know, the one we saw Tyler in
Yeah.
before,
So it's
where he
basically
had
like
that
man
thing.
drone.
So I think it might be those, but I don't know for certain. Like,
Oh.
don't take my word as gospel for that.
Okay. But the next scene after that, we get Saru enters into the transport room,
And he's very surprised.
by the Emperor's presence, and
I like to think where he's like, Captain, and she's like, Emperor, kneel before me, slave.
Yes.
And it's like, that's a little awkward.
yeah, I mean, I'm surprised she's quite as confrontational. I thought she'd be like, I'm in a different universe, but I can still understand because she thinks of these species as slave species.
Yeah.
But I did like when she mentioned that they ate a kelpin the previous day. And it's like,
Yeah, that was
ooh.
like, you're like, oh, like, that's, and you see Saru's like shocked and like, when they walk, when he, because eventually he transports her to a guest quarters. Yeah. And he's like, you told me there were no Kelpians in that universe. He's like, well, I hope to spare you the pain. And he's like, you can sort of see him been like weigh up the options, sort of like, okay, like I can see a point, but still kind of a dick move.
Yeah, I don't know how you can really get away out of that, really, because you either say, oh yeah, your species is here, but they're slaves.
And I ate one of them.
Yeah, it's like a no-win situation, really. I mean, the win situation would be not to bring the Emperor with you, but
yeah,
that's kind of...
I still find it weird that they completely glossed over the fact that Michael ate a Kelpian.
Yeah, it doesn't actually mention that, but I suppose if there was less going on this episode,
yeah,
it probably would have been brought up. But
that could have been a really interesting conversation to witness. Like,
I kind of wish Saru like sort of like a snide commentate. How did it taste? What did it taste like?
So what does Kelpian taste like?
So she gets transported away.
Yeah,
and he mentions to the transporter crew member that this is confidential information, not to mention to anyone else. And he's like, "Oh, finally, I get a speaking role."
Yeah. Like I quite liked the transporter guy.
Yeah, the crew don't. I mean, in this episode, I think he's got the most speaking roles. Well, actually, no, they get about one sentence per crew member.
Yeah, pretty much.
So they're in the next hallway, and Saru essentially congratulates her on her performance at the ship.
Yeah, I liked the way he did it, like it, where it was like, do you know, where it was like, he sort of admitted that, like, yeah, things might not have gone completely as planned, but they're home, and like Saru said, no one else could have done what Michael did.
Yes, and he also mentions Tyler and about all the operation they had to do, and how to, like, Laurel had to operate on him.
Like how uncomfortable Burnham looked during that conversation.
Oh yeah, and then afterwards when she says, "Oh, how he reacts to you will determine," and she's like, "Well, is that an order?" And
yeah, and she's like, "I'm gonna nope my way out of here."
Yeah, which I thought was quite very, very understandable, because obviously she's been just someone she really trusted, who then tried to kill her.
Turned out to be a Klingon sleeper agent.
Yeah. I know you could say, oh, it's not really Ash's fault because it was the Klingon version, but it's still quite difficult for Burnham herself to probably process it correctly.
Yeah, because she looks at Tyler and she sees Vok, which is what she says later in the episode.
Yeah. If you want to see things like that, where people who are different in different bodies, you got to check out Altered Carbon. But that's
shilling, are you?
Yeah. So carry on. The doctor is speaking to Saru, and she's unsure whether to say Tyler is human or Klingon, because
they just don't know. They just don't understand.
Yeah, because it's all very confusing.
Yeah,
and they just say, "Well, talk to Tyler."
Yeah, I've started referring to Tyler as Vokla in my notes. You know, an amalgamation between Vok and Tyler. So.
Yeah, that sounds alright. Vokla, yeah.
He's now Vokla.
Or Vola? No. That's too bad.
Well, the other one was either Vokla or Tok.
Probably Tok sounds probably too much like Klingon.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I went for Vokla.
Yeah. So Saru basically, goes into medical, starts
Yeah.
talking with Tyler, and he talks about his experiences and how he essentially has the memories of Vok as well.
Yeah, I liked the line as well where it was like, "Thanks for the save." So, like,
Oh yeah, yes.
I think one of the reasons I liked this episode quite a bit more than some of the other ones is because this episode was very heavily character based. Not a lot actually happened, so most of the focus was on the interactions of the crew and the characters, and the story was sort of character centric.
Yeah, yes.
Which is when, in my opinion, Star Trek is at its best.
Well, certainly the second half of the season has drastically improved the quality of the show.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't it wasn't that great to begin with, so any improvement was a vast improvement. So,
but I did quite like he's essentially confused because he still has the memories of Vok and Tyler.
Yeah, but he's talking about there's a disconnect.
Yes, he's not like he doesn't hear the voice of Vok or.
Yeah, he basically it's like he's like do you say something like he's watching someone else's memories?
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite very confusing experience then.
Yeah.
And not long after that, Saru is called off. Well, he's called to the bridge.
Yeah, because there's a Federation ship on the scanners.
Long distance, yeah. And this Federation ship has got its shields raised and weapons ready.
For the first few times I refer to it, I refer to it as Federation ship in quotation marks because I wasn't sure if it was a Federation ship or not.
Oh yeah, because weren't you sure if it was like some sort of a Klingon spy or something?
Yeah. And
they board. Have Andorians, Tellarites, are all there.
Andorian, yo, again, two Andor. Well, I think it's the same Andorian, just from a different universe.
Yeah, and then I think I think I saw on Reddit that it was actually Tellarite, Vulcan, Human, and Andorian. Like the 4 founding members are all there,
which is really cool. But do you know what I think?
Yep.
I think they filmed that scene and the scene with all of the other ones on the same day, so
they don't have the makeup on.
Yeah, I think those 2 scenes and those 2 episodes were filmed on the same day, just so they could save on time of putting them in the makeup again. Because if you look, you can sort of see,
it looks pretty similar.
Yeah, that it's the exact same Tellarite, it's the exact same Andorian. It's it's obviously Sarek and that. So I think they all of those scenes with the Andorian and that were filmed on the same day.
Well, I suppose with Sarek, all he has to do is he has to put some sellotape, put over his mustache and beard, put on, then rip it off afterwards. Unless he can grow, unless the actor who plays Sarek can grow that within a day.
Yeah.
But I did quite like the boarding because it was far more aggressive than you get normally from a Federation.
Yeah, because they had to be shown desperate times, desperate measures, and all that. It's when Sarek comes up to mind meld with Saru, and he's like, Saru's like, "What are you doing, Ambassador?" And he's like, "What the times call for."
Yeah, and then that's
again another great quotable line.
And it's basically where they
wrote this episode.
They basically learn about all of the mirror universe.
Yeah.
And Lorca's death, and can I just say that?
Right. All of this happens before the intro.
It's about 7 minutes, I think.
10. There is 10 minutes of footage before the intro. That is a long ass intro.
Yeah, that is quite quite lengthy. But you got some bad news though, didn't you? The mirror Discovery was destroyed.
Yeah.
Destroyed by Klingons, right? So
I kind of, they had to do that, and I understand it because as soon as the Klingons saw the Discovery, they'd attack it, and that Discovery was nowhere near well as equipped as this Discovery, because it doesn't have the spore drive and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's probably way easier for the Klingons to
attack.
To attack.
Yeah, and we kind of learn after this scene, and obviously I think this is we have the intro, and we get a little scene of Cornwall shooting the fortune cookies.
I liked that.
But then we start talking about all like how the Klingon Empire is attacking the Federation. But when you looked at they said they lost 20% of their territory, or 20% is occupied, and about 1/3 of the fleet is destroyed. Yeah. But on the map, it looks like the Federation's almost completely wiped out.
Yeah, and they say about how Starbase 1 is their last like
line of defense. Yeah, so it's. I was like, I think to myself, wait a minute.
There's a lot of
inconsistencies.
Yeah.
Because then again, I mean, we have seen how badly Starfleet Federation tactics have gone in the past.
True.
When I just see the cloak Darley, let's send one ship off by itself. That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah. The Federation don't seem to adapt very well.
No,
is the sort of thing.
Yeah, they just seem You'd have thought they'd have, with multiple cultures, have learned multiple techniques. But
exactly.
Yeah. But also in this meeting, they want to classify all knowledge of the alternate universe.
Yeah, which I kind of understand. Like at this, I'm sort of like. At the same time, I'm like, it doesn't make sense, but it kind of does. Like the situation they're in.
But it's also like, I don't know how the average citizen would actually like, oh, there's alternate universes, and it's like, okay, and we've travelled to them. Oh, it was like, but it's a really
like they said, the idea that what if
your partner had died in this war.
And my parents are dead in this universe, but they're not in that universe.
Like,
type thing.
Well, I mean, in the other universe, your parents could be fascists and own slaves. So, are you sure about wanting to see them? Right. So, they mention they've got something else to show them, and they take Cornwall to see the Emperor, which was quite an interesting scene because I like how like Sarek and Cornwall both say the resemblance is uncanny.
Yeah.
And she just basically wants to go home. Because she's like, oh, I don't even want to be here. And Burnham's like, oh, she can get a political asylum. It's like, she doesn't want a political asylum. She wants to get out of here.
Yeah, she kind of sees herself as a prisoner, but also not a prisoner, but also a prisoner. It's a weird situation she's got herself in, but she is from an alternate universe, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and obviously Cornwall says they would let help her to get home if they weren't busy with a war.
If she's like honestly, I don't even know if we know how to send you home.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was I don't know much to say about this scene really because Burnham is still trying to act like she's a mother figure to her.
Yeah.
Which I don't think the Emperor actually really cares because it's not really her Burnham.
I really don't like Burnham in this episode. Like, Burnham is my least favourite character in this episode. Which is why I'm glad there's kind of a lot of focus outside of her. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, Tilly is quite good in this episode.
Yeah. Tilly has some good points in this episode. Tilly is on point in a later scene.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're getting up to one of these scenes as well.
Did we mention that the Klingons are all fractured again?
Oh, sorry, I kind of skipped over. Yeah,
they've all split back into the 24 houses. There's not a united Klingon empire.
Yeah. Which actually made thoughts. Since there's 24 of them, you could almost like isolate factions, or you could negotiate with one faction. It's like, oh, we'll support you.
Yeah, that's not how the Klingons work, though.
Okay, well, I was thinking of like traditional like tactics.
Yeah, no, the Klingons, like they say in this episode, the Klingons are using which house can destroy the most Federation things as a sign of which one is the strongest. So there's going to be no negotiating with them because the only thing that they see that gives them power is destroying us.
Yeah.
And like L'Oreal says in a bit of a later scene,
conquer us or we'll conquer you.
You'll go. What was it? Conquer us or we will never relent.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, they want the Discovery to get to Starbase 1 as soon as possible.
Yeah. And, on the next scene after the Emperor scene, Tyler, as he's walking through the ship, he meets Stamens outside the cantina.
Yes, and that's when I kind of liked the scene, because you can see both of them are like shocked at first, and then the first words out of Tyler's mouth is, or Vokler's mouth is, "I'm sorry," which is sort of his tagline for this episode. It seems to be the first thing he says to almost everyone.
I suppose he kind of has to, because he's because his
done some questionable stuff.
Very questionable stuff, and he has to at least gain some sort of forgiveness, or at least atone as well.
So can we just jump back?
Sorry.
This is jumping quite a few things up, but I forgot to mention it. I just loved how nice Saru was to Tyler. Do you know when he woke up and that, like how he put the band on him and said, you know, your privilege is going to be limited, but I'm not going to take your freedom.
Oh yeah, that was.
I really feel like that Saru at the start of this series wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I think he's very much grown in his role.
Yeah, and this is my favourite thing about Star Trek is characters and character development, and it works best when it's a character-focused show.
Yeah.
So I just had to get that out there.
So when Tyler goes into the cantina, everyone just drops dead and goes quiet.
Yeah.
And obviously it looks like he's going to be sitting by himself. Until...
I loved the direction of that scene where it's like, you hear the chatter, and then he walks in and it's not quite silence, but it's close enough that you can sense the awkwardness in the air, and everyone's looking at him. And he gets the food, and it's like he sits by himself, and you're like, okay. And I honestly thought, okay, that might be where they leave it. But then you see Tilly looking at him like, you know, I'm gonna, yeah. And then Tilly gets up and sits with him. It's like Tyler's like, well, Vokler, sorry. Vokler is all, you know, you don't have to do this. You don't have to sit with me. I'm okay. And she's like, how can you be? Like, until it makes sense. Like, you know, how can he be okay? Like, he is not, in any definition of the word, okay.
And it basically draws in other members of the crew.
Yeah, starting off with
Kayla.
Kayla, that's the one.
Yeah.
Android lady.
Yep, and then the other members of the bridge crew.
Yeah, I liked the fact that right there, that is what Starfleet is. Yeah. That is the most Starfleet thing that has happened in this entire season.
Well, we've got something to take away from your Starfleet now, as we get to Starbase 1, and it's been taken by the Klingons.
By House, I forgot which house it was specifically. Degar, was it?
Yeah, I think that was one. But after when Cornwall sees that, she is almost unresponsive because she's just in shock because.
Yeah.
And there's meant to 80,000 people on that station.
Yeah. Can I just say something? Saru, you need to speak up more often, mate. When your ganglia goes off, because his ganglia starts going off before they get out of warp. It's like he should have been like, guys, I sense death. You know, because that's what his ganglia mean. I sense danger and death.
Yeah,
he needs to speak up more when he gets all gangly.
I mean, they did say before they warp into Starbase, they said it was a perilous warp.
Yeah, and that the before they drop out there, they couldn't hail them.
Yeah,
but like,
where is they?
Up.
I mean, they say Starbase 1 is like 1,000 AUs away from Earth, so it can't be that far away. I don't know what AUs is meant to.
AU is astronomical unit. It's the distance between the Earth and the Sun.
Oh,
is
okay.
1 AU.
Oh, okay. So it's still a good distance.
Yeah.
So it's about the edge of the solar system.
Roughly, 1,000 AU is where we think like the last sort of. Theoretically, 100 AU is where the last sort of planetary orbit could be away from the Sun.
Okay, so it's still a good distance, but it's still pretty close to Earth to very much concern Starfleet.
It's very far out of like the inner planets and stuff. Like it's not like It's
like,
I think it's past the Kuiper Belt.
oh, cause yeah, it was a bit like hitting so close to a major Federation planet, and it
Yeah,
being under control of the Klingons as well.
yeah.
I'm
It's
kind
still
of
technically in orbit of our sun. It's in the Sol system.
Yeah.
That is like the closest to home you can get other than hitting Earth.
yeah, and yeah, so Cornwall just is at a shock, and she basically passes over. Well, she leaves the bridge, passes over command to Saru to get him out of there, and she goes to see Laurel in the prison, in the brig. Sorry. So yeah, so I thought Cornwall, she was. I don't know what sort of admiral she is really, because
She,
she captured.
you can tell she's definitely been weathered by these last 9 months.
Yeah, and well, her seeing Laurel again, because Laurel before was looking to, probably was pretending to defect previously.
Yeah.
And they talk about D'Kuvma and how they can win the war.
Can I just tell you?
Yeah, sure.
The note I'm very proud of that I made in this for the opening of the scene. But my note for the opening of the scene is Laurel is chilling in her Lacelle.
Oh God, that is some base level puns. That one.
It made me giggle when I wrote it.
Dear, oh dear. But yeah, so like Laurel essentially says, if you can't defeat us, we will
eradicate you essentially. Yeah. But like I loved the swapping of ideology. Like, do you know the whole thing of, her saying that, even though I'm in a cell, Khalees can still see me, and all that, and Admiral been like, nah, I don't subscribe to your ideology, and Laurel been like, T'Kuvma said that humans are all, scared and have no honor, and that about this he was wrong. And it shows that Laurel's learned, and I think Laurel might actually end up siding with the Federation, and sort of seeing their point, and that seeing that I think she might end up being the ambassador for the Klingons and the Federation living in harmony.
Well, yeah, at a certain point they can't all kill each other, because at a certain point they gotta get along, and it doesn't help. If humans can't exactly turn like their home planet into like a glass planet, so
yeah,
what are they gonna do? But anyway, moving on towards. Oh, sorry.
That's when we get our lovely T'Kuvma was an ignorant fool line.
Yeah. So Burnham goes to the Emperor, and she basically wants advice on the Klingons.
Yeah, she seems quite weird, and she gets all psychiatrist up in Burnham.
Yeah, because was just mentioned about Sarek being like her father as well.
Like drawing parallels between the two worlds and universes and stuff, and like I like to think of how she was immediately like, so what's the deal with you and Sarek? Because you look at him very similarly to the way you look at me.
Yeah, that's
like, she is very perceptive.
Oh yeah, she's one smart cookie that probably she had to be to become Emperor in the first place.
And she gets all psychiatrist up in here about the real reason she saved her is because she couldn't
save the previous one.
Yeah, and like she's got a point, because Burnham literally admitted that earlier in the episode.
Yeah. But they also mention like no one had been attacking the Klingon planet of Kronos.
Kronos, yeah.
Yeah, I pronounced it incorrectly then.
Yeah, it's Kronos is the correct pronunciation.
Not Cronus, like the Greek god. Okay. So they have no idea about the planet's infrastructure.
Yeah, because they've never really been. The only people that's been there is they said Archer on the NX-01,
and they said like 100 years previous.
Yeah,
so they've got no idea.
Roughly when Enterprise was set. So good on you. You got at least a little bit of the timeline correct.
But she gives advice like, how did you defeat the Klingons? Like, well, you had to basically smash them good.
Basically hit them at their home, which is apparently an idea that never even occurred to the Federation. Which I can sort of understand, because it's very not a Federation thing to do. Yeah,
because I don't know how the Federation expected to win if it was always on the defensive, because if it was always on the defensive, the other team can always hit you. At some point, you have to fight back. Even to, like, say, we've knocked you back, taken these lands from you, now we'll settle for a peace. That's like a traditional sort of military kind of tactic. Though, of course, I'm not a military tactician, but that's what I assume that you'd do.
Yeah, I still love the Vulcan way of dealing with the Klingons.
Oh, just keep fighting them.
The Vulcans just went, okay, they only respond to violence. Okay, let's just give them violence. And then the Klingons went, do you know what? We respect you. We're not going to fuck with you anymore.
Why are the Vulcans not doing this with the Federation itself?
Yeah, they are helping, it seems. But I think Vulcan will probably be doing the logical thing and wanting to stay neutral.
But it's quite difficult to be neutral when you're part of the Federation.
Yeah, I get that, but like the Vulcans and the Klingons sort of have an agreement, and if they start attacking, but I see the point of like, you know, like they should. But I think Vulcan has probably lost a lot of ships as well because they're included in the Federation numbers. Like the Federation includes the Vulcan fleet. So
yeah, right. So next they want to actually collect more spores.
Yeah.
Since they're pretty much out, because if they want to attack Cronus, no, I'm gonna let you pronounce. I'm gonna say Klingon Homeworld, and that you pronounce the name.
Kronos.
Yeah.
But yeah, even Sarek was like, yeah, we need to attack them there. Like even the Klingon, even the Vulcans, like, yeah, this is the logical approach.
Yeah.
But like they talk about, you know, jumping into a cave under Kronos' surface.
Yep.
And I like the fact they're all like, okay, you know, even Stamens is like, you know, yeah, we can probably do that with the mycelial network. And then Saru's just like, yeah, but guys, if you remember correctly, we don't have any spores anymore. Like, Saru's the one there asking the obvious question.
Yeah. So, well, they do figure out a way, but before that, we got the Sarek and the Emperor speak. And
Wait, is that?
I think because they say they need to get more. They need to get some more spores, but they don't actually.
They talk about going to the Vader system and they're going to terraform a moon. And then we go into
Sarek and the Emperor,
the parent off, as I dubbed it.
Yeah, and she says that the Klingon homeworld is essentially like a blackened, charred ball.
Yeah,
because they didn't just attack the Klingon homeworld; they essentially destroyed it.
Yeah.
So,
I just loved the dynamic between the two of them. You know, because they are both people that raised a version of Burnham, and like Giorgio's description of her Burnham being like she was a semblance of brilliance until one mistake, you know, toppled our entire universe into, you know.
Yeah.
Into dismay. Does that sound familiar? And you sort of see Sarek like, and then Sarek snaps back immediately, been like, yeah, but didn't my Burnham see through your the person that talked your Burnham into like, you know, making that mistake? And he's like, yeah, but they were basically playing a game of, yeah, but my Burnham was better.
Well, I suppose you'd say, well, my Burnham is alive and your Burnham is dead.
Yeah,
that's probably that could be like the ultimate finisher.
Well, that's what Giorgio literally says earlier. Do you know when they have that scene? It's like, oh, do you know, asking about how the Empress knew what the Empress knew of her counterpart, and she says, well, I'm alive and she's dead, so I'll let you decide who's stronger. It's like, isn't that what you said about? So does that not mean that your
Burnham was weaker?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so if you think you're stronger, then your Burnham was obviously weaker.
Yeah.
So Sarek is preparing to leave to go to Vulcan.
Yes.
And as he's going, he's talking to Burnham about the plans.
So we forgot to mention that the one thing that the Emperor Giorgio asks for in return for this information is freedom.
But the problem with that freedom is it freedom to just go off and do her own thing? Or
I was like, okay, she's just suddenly released into the world, you know, witness new things, you know. If she tries to start her own version of the Terran Empire, I don't think it'll be that well received in this universe, and she'll most likely just get killed. Yeah, so, you know.
Yeah, wouldn't work out quite well for her.
Yeah.
But so Sarek is apparently to flee for Vulcan, which kind of makes me kind of confused in a next scene, because they talk about Well, I'm not sure if it's this scene later on, but they talk about how they're preparing to take all their forces back to Earth to guard it.
Yeah.
But what about their own home planets of like Vulcan and
Well, like I said, Vulcan's probably not being threatened.
is it Andoria?
Yeah, but like, it seems that the main problem that they have is with the humans, you know. But at the same time, this is another annoyance of mine with Discovery, is that they assume that 99% of the Federation is human, when it's really not.
It's like they think, well, if the Klingons wipe out Earth, they'll forget about the rest of us, and we'll be okay.
Yeah. Like, there are many Andorians and Vulcans and Tellarites as there are humans in the Federation. So
I mean, I'm surprised that Klingons, would they want to enslave people rather than just completely eradicating them?
some of them, but not all of them. They'll probably kill most of the women and children. They might enslave a few men, but that's about it.
Oh, okay. So we get a little scene with Burnham and Tilly in the engineering room.
Yeah.
And we got Tilly essentially. Oh, sorry.
I just want to the scene with Sarek and Burnham. Do you know?
Yep.
I really liked the conversation again, the character humanizing conversation between them, and like, do you know, the way Sarek showed emotion, which is very in character for Sarek. It's like, because he is always, in every iteration, he's always been a Vulcan that actually fell in love with a human.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously he would show some emotion to
like, he'll say that it was just, you know, a political thing. You know, it was because he's the ambassador and that. But like, behind closed doors to people, he will admit that no, he loves her, and like, you know, he has emotion for her. Like, he genuinely loves her, and he basically admits that to Burnham in this scene, that he loves Burnham and he loves Burnham's mother.
Yeah,
which makes sense for Spock as well. Do you know, and you know all that. I still don't get me started on the fact that, you know, we've never had mention of Spock's sister before now, and you know, there's currently a writer in it, and that's annoyance on a whole new level. But that's not the conversation for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just that conversation, and like, you know, you are human, and I liked his talk about peace through loving your enemy. Like, you know, if that's not peace, then what isn't? You know, there's basically a lot of people are berating Michael into being like, dude, just talk to Tyler.
Well, that's what Tilly does in the engine room as well when they're because she's saying, how can he get better when the one
person he likes most is gone?
Yeah, and I can't understand Tilly's point and Bernard's point at the same time.
Yeah,
because
I really like her thing about, you know, being in the Marineverse and, you know, your surroundings shaping who you are, and you know, by not the way we not turn into them is by understanding the darkness inside. And that's how she brings up Tyler, Vokla. And then the whole thing with Michael being like, I just said goodbye to my father, and it felt final.
I mean, obviously, I know Sarek won't actually die because of the events of the Prime Universe. He's got to be around. Because he has to be around for...
You think they care about the timeline at this point?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I assume they'll still...
The Klingons never got this close to destroying the Federation in the timeline. The timeline's out of the window at this point.
Well, okay, well, I'm assuming that he'll stay alive. He's replaced with a guy with a goatee in the next episode. But yes, they get ready to drop off the spores on this uninhabited moon.
Yeah.
And it's some sort of weird pulsar thing.
Oh, those probes look hella cool. Like, I loved that scene, do you know, of them
vibrating the Earth.
Oh no, I loved the scene of them dropping off, and you know, you saw them entering the atmosphere, and you know, the heat shields, and the fact they were the right shape, you know, because far too often probes and stuff are made all streamlined and thinking, no, for going from orbit into an atmosphere, it's actually better to be not aerodynamic, and it's better to be sort of, well, brick shaped. That's why if you ever see a Soyuz capsule, it's the big bit that points towards the Earth, not the smaller bit.
Yeah, it's got a large heat shield to protect it so it doesn't burn up.
Yeah.
Which if the spores had burned up in the atmosphere, like oh dear.
Yeah, and then like the way they propelled the fans just to level them off and control their speed and level, and then the way they landed, those probes were really cool.
But yeah, so we have a nice little scene of the spores taking root and starting to grow.
This just confirmed my suspicion that secretly the universes between The Expanse and Star Trek Discovery are linked, because it just looked like the proto-molecule in these scenes. It just did.
Hey, perhaps that'll be the next mirror universe they'll pop into.
The universe of The Expanse.
Yeah. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, well, The Expanse is set in this 22nd century, or 2020. So, but anyway, so Burnham, our next scene, goes to Tyler.
She finally
is an observation deck.
I don't know what it is. It doesn't seem quite like an observation deck. It seems like a weird sort of almost. I don't know. It looks like almost like an engineering access room type thing.
Yeah, because I'm sure
it's not quite an observation deck because it's only got one small window.
Yeah, I saw some like fire extinguishers type things.
Yeah. So it looked like just some sort of weird side room, is what it was.
Yeah, and I felt sorry for Tyler in this scene because.
Yeah, I was entirely on his side throughout this entire argument / conversation or whatever it was. Like, I was entirely on his side.
Because he doesn't want to end her, but
yeah,
she probably doesn't really want to end as well, but she just can't trust him anymore.
Just the one thing that really annoyed me is the fact that she came into it straight away. Like, did you ever love me? And you lied to me and all that. I was like, no, like that is not how you start a conversation like this, even slightly.
Yeah, it's a bit, just a tiny bit on the aggressive.
Yeah,
I'm saying how I can see Vok through your eyes now.
Yeah, and it's just she was entirely hitting the wrong points, and everything Tyler said made sense. Everything was right. Everything. One of my favourite lines in this episode, and you can tell it hit home when he said it, was, "Your parents were killed by Klingons and you fell in love with one."
Yeah, that was
My response to that when I watched it was, "Oh, snap." Because that was like a sucker punch in word form.
Yes, it definitely was.
And he's not wrong. Like,
no, he's right.
She even admits that might be the case. And that's when she admits she can see Vok when she looks at him. But
well, she only met Vok the once, so
yeah. And then she goes on to this talk about how, after the Battle of the Binary Stars, she basically had to find out who she was again, just to crawl out, and she's still not there. And she starts this talk about, how finding yourself, how it's a struggle, how it's hard work, how it's a difficult life. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, she's crying, she's looking at him, she's thinking, she's empathizing with his situation. I was expecting her to be like, but it might be easier if we have someone else to, help us through it. But no, she just turns around and goes, and it's solitary, and walks out. And I'm like, what? What?
I'm wondering I wonder what role Tyler will play in next week's episode now.
Same.
Because if he's essentially under guard, because it's not really under guard, but it's like that bracelet.
Yeah,
essentially stops him from
monitors.
Yeah, to do anything. What will he even be doing during the battle? It's like, they probably won't trust him on the front lines if they have to go down to the surface.
But he's probably going to be key because having access to Vok's memory. Like, I don't understand why they didn't talk to him about it earlier. Because, we don't know anything about the surface. You literally have someone with Klingon memories, someone that probably has memories of that planet.
You could also,
maybe go ask them.
Even interrogate L'Rell.
Yeah. Like, there are two people with, more information than Giorgio has, because you know the Kronos in her universe might be very, very different to the Kronos in this universe.
Yeah. So next scene we got Cornwall, who is speaking to Sarek via hologram, and she's taking residence in Lorca's old office.
Yeah.
I think that I didn't see if the Tuffle was there.
The what?
Is it Tuffle? The
Tribble.
Tribble. Oh, sorry, got it all wrong.
Yeah. I still would have loved that scene, but I suppose that the scene would have taken too much effort on their part.
They have to get some guy's hand in it and just shake it a bit.
No, I'm saying like the scene where the Tribble reacts to Tyler being in the room would have been a brilliant scene, because that's exactly how the Klingon spy was routed out in was it Tribbles or was that Trials and Tribulations? I can't remember which episode it was. I think it was Trials and Tribulations. Or was it? I don't know. I think it might have happened in both, actually.
But anyway,
that's how Klingon sleeper agents were revealed before, is that Tribbles hate Klingons. But then I suppose that would have taken too much effort on the writer's behalf, wouldn't it?
And it probably would have solved the quote-unquote mystery too early.
Well, I mean, they could have had it now and it'd have been still a fine scene, and maybe have them be like, oh my god, this is the way we can route out, Klingon sleeper agents without having to mind meld with everyone.
Just have Tribbles next to every single door.
Yeah, Tribble guards.
Whoa, Tribble! What's wrong? What you smell? Klingon down the mine shaft? So they're talking about the information they got from the Emperor, which I'm assuming that's the information to basically annihilate the planet. I
feel like there's been more information given off screen that we don't know yet. I feel like, there's more to this plan than meets the eye at the minute.
Yeah, I think the previews for next week sort of say there will be like a conflict between the ethics of the Federation and whether this might decide the survival of the Federation.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like conflicting against one another.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of heavy topics and stuff addressed next week.
Yeah. And our final scene is where our Emperor is presented as the missing Philippa.
I hate this scene so much. Okay, let me break down why I hate this scene.
Go on.
One, it's a terrible idea. She's an extremist fascist from another universe that killed people to get to her spot, and has no qualms in killing anyone that gets in her way. I could not think of a less Federation thing to do, and it just it annoys me to my core that they're doing this. I know, desperate times, desperate measures and all that, extinction of that, but becoming the Terran Empire or being extinct, I know which one I'd rather choose.
I mean, you could learn, I don't know what they're doing, because I know from seeing the preview that she's going to be quite aggressive in terms of her methods. And then that's going to basically influence Cornwall, what she wants to do.
Why lie to the crew? Literally, everyone else on the ship could probably put 2 and 2 together and say, oh wait, this is Giorgio from the other universe. We know for a fact Giorgio's dead. Burnham witnessed her get shot through the heart.
Yeah, I mean, they could have quite easily just gone,
This is Terran Giorgio.
She'll be providing information during the battle.
Why the boldface?
It undermines Saru as well.
It undermines Saru. It undermines Burnham. It undermines everyone, and it's the least Federation thing. Come on, you had such a great Federation Starfleet moment earlier with how the crew treated Tyler. Do you know how they accept equality, acceptance, and all that? That's the ideals you're based on.
I mean, they could have easily just said, this is the Terran Philippa. This doesn't go beyond this ship. This ship knows about the mirror universe. Nothing will be said beyond this crew.
Yeah,
because you can't say the crew. They've been in the mirror universe. Yeah. They know what's going on there. You can't pretend anything else.
Yeah, and Saru and Burnham are very much not happy with this. Just me. I loved the sassy way that Giorgio comes up as she basically says, "I hope this isn't going to be a problem for you," and she's like, she tells Burnham something. She's like, "Yes, Captain," like saying like, "I know who you are," and I don't get it.
Yeah, it's not the odd thing, but that's the last scene in the episode.
Yeah. Also, I figured out why I liked the writing in this episode so much. I think because the writer for this was Lisa Randolph.
What's she done?
Lisa Randolph was one of the lead writers on. Do you remember Being Human?
Oh yeah, I recall that.
Yeah, she was one of the people that wrote that.
Oh, that was decent back on the BBC.
Yeah, and she's wrote quite a few things. She was, and she's been like quite a few good shows, and like I think she understands because obviously Being Human is a very character focused show.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why there were so many more character focused bits in this episode.
I mean, I suppose every episode can't be all action packed.
Yeah,
and
because I think she understands that sort of dynamic a bit more.
And it was also she did quite a good job of setting up for the finale.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So.
Kudos to her, but I think she was more involved in the later seasons, with the new cast. But still, I can't hold that against her.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's about it for the episode. Pretty decent episode. Looking forward to the finale. See how it wraps up. I don't know if it's an extended episode or not, but probably not. But
yeah,
I'll have to wait and see really with that one. Is there any last words, Jacob?
Again, I'm enjoying it more now that I've come to accept it's definitely not Star Trek.
Okay. Yep. So that'll do it for this week. So thank you for listening. Please subscribe. We'll check you guys out next week. Goodbye.
Yeah. Ta-ra.